I want to say something about grammar and vocabulary and the grammar-vocabulary distinction. Both within linguistics and in language teaching, we've made a lot of progress by distinguishing these two aspects of language. We have the structure of the grammar on the one hand and the words on the other. And this has proved to be quite useful where the grammar gives the kind of regularities of language, and then you have the idiosyncrasies and the many words that need to be learned. And we've had the kind of structural syllabus either implicit or explicit in language teaching books, where you go from the simple present to the past to the subjunctive and so on. But I think that these days that distinction is being questioned for a variety of reasons, especially on the linguistic sides. I think one danger is that we see the grammar divorced from vocabulary. So you have these kind of structures, and then the idea could be that just about any words will fit into those structures. Or put another way, if somebody knows the kind of grammar of the language and a reasonable number of words, then somehow they're still not competent or don't seem to be like native speakers of the language, because language is not just structure and vocabulary. So I think there's a kind of tight association between grammar and words or lexis. We can talk about the passive and might try to illustrate the passive by examples like the dog bit the man was bitten by the dog, and that's okay for getting over the idea of the passive, some kind of core use. But beyond that, it's the case that actually, some verbs really like to be used in the passive, and other verbs are used much less frequently. So it's not like we have the passive structure and then that's separate from particular verbs. Not all verbs are equal, even if they are allowed to take the passive form. So there's some idea of kind of constructions, but those constructions are tied to, or they favor particular words. Another way of viewing that is that a lot of the functional load of language is carried by phrases or chunks or something like that. And that's one reason why language learning is so difficult. I mean, people get through the major grammatical constructions, after a couple of years, perhaps. But still, handling the language is something that goes beyond that. And that's because the language learning is a massive learning task, and there are all these kind of phrases that you need to learn, which seem to be somewhere between vocabulary and learning. If we take something like a phrase like "the thing is," or "the thing to do," which is quite a useful phrase in English. Now, is that part of the grammar, or is that vocabulary? It seems somehow not regular enough, too specific, too small to be counted as part of the grammar, and yet it's kind of too large, too much of a chunk to really be part of lexis. And so there are many examples like that in language. Take something like the fact that, where we have the plus noun plus that. Again, there's a kind of a few words which occur very frequently in that noun slot, like fact, an idea, and so on. So I think within the field, there's been a shift towards the lexical end of things, and kind of a little bit less focus on grammatical resources. But that said, we do have this traditional distinction between grammar and vocabulary, and we've stuck with that in this unit. But I didn't want that distinction to go uncommented on.